I go, here I go. Yeah, here I go, here I go.
Welcome in, everyone, to another episode of The Take with your host, Jackson Burleson, of course. And in this episode, man, we're going to recap everything from Week 12 of the NFL season. But before we get into anything like that, make sure to subscribe, man. We're at 958 subscribers, trying to hit 1,000 by the end of the year. And also hit the notification bell. Comment what you think about this video and also some takes on the NFL season here. I can't believe, I say this every time, but like, I still can't believe how fast the NFL season has went. I mean, it's been so quick. It's been so insane. But we're actually going to start this podcast off with Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua. Now, for you guys that may not be familiar with Anthony Joshua, let's just say this. Former heavyweight champion of the world, started his professional career 22-0 with 20 straight knockouts. I mean, he was an Olympic gold medalist in 2012. Like, I mean, come on, dude. He knocked out Francis Ngannou in the second round. I mean, this is the guy that Jake is going to go to the canvas against, because there's no way that Jake actually thinks he can win this fight. Let's just say this about Jake Paul, because over his entire 13 pro fights, he's fought one professional boxer that was actually like a name in his prime and his age and his size. And it was Tommy Fury, and he lost. So what are we expecting here from Anthony Joshua? A guy who has won a heavyweight and two, can break your face. Francis Ngannou got knocked out by this guy. This is what we're seeing right now. You don't want to fight this guy. Now, I do get it. In his last fight against Daniel Dubois, he did not look good at all. But Daniel Dubois just fought for the title against Alexander Usyk. So, like, there's levels to this thing, Jake, and you're not on this level. You're just not. Like, there's no way that you win this fight. Anthony Joshua will come overhand right, hit you smack square on the head, and you are not getting up from that. I'm telling you right now, you're not getting up from that. If Francis can't get up from it, you definitely are. And Jake has also only fought in one heavyweight fight prior to this, and it was against a 59-year-old Mike Tyson. That doesn't even count. It was 2-minute rounds and 14-ounce gloves in that fight. That's not even a real fight. I can't believe they actually made that a pro fight. That was so wild to me that they actually made that a pro fight. But, like, my point is that Jake Paul is not a boxer. He thinks he's a boxer, and he thinks he can be world champion. And I don't know why he's ranked in the boxing world. I don't get that. I mean, I'm not counting Ryan Borland and Andre August as legitimate boxers. Now, granted, their records are good, but, like, I'm not counting them. I mean, he knocked out Andre August in the first round, and Ryan Borland looked like he just came out of, plumbing these toilets. I mean, he didn't even look like he was in shape. He looked like Ben Askren. You know what I mean? Like, Jake has not fought anybody. He's only fought one guy prior to this point his actual size, because all the other MMA guys he fought, like, I mean, Mike Perry, the bare knuckle guy, he's smaller than him. Woodley, he's smaller than him. Silva might be his size. Like, looking at all his wins, Anderson Silva's probably his best win. But, like, that's a 50-year-old Anderson Silva. This is a prime former heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua. And you saw the size difference in the face-offs. Anthony Joshua has reach, he has the height, he has the weight. They put a stipulation, Jake Paul's team put a stipulation in the contract that, hey, AJ, he can't weigh more than 245 pounds for this fight, because Jake knows that he's in trouble. He's trying to get every advantage he can, and he was supposed to fight Gervonta Davis, which I think he would have lost both. I think he's losing both of these fights. But at least against Gervonta Davis, you're not going to get knocked out because weight classes are there for a reason. And Gervonta Davis at 135 pounds, he's going to try and he's not even really cutting. He's not cutting weight at all. He's just kind of walking around. And that was an exhibition. But like Jake getting pieced up for 8 rounds by Tank would be better than him fighting Anthony Joshua, a guy who can literally knock him out in the first round. I don't see this fight going past the 3rd round, in my opinion. I don't think Jake looked good at all in his last fight. He fought Julio Cesar Chavez, another boxer out of his prime. Like that, and like honestly, he didn't really look that good in that fight. Like Jake Paul was allowing him to. He almost like Julio Cesar Chavez got momentum. He was getting shots off him late in that fight. His guard was down. Like if you have your guard down the way he did against Julio Cesar Chavez, against Anthony Joshua, you're gonna get knocked out in the first round. You can't fight like that. You cannot fight like that. That fight is December 19th in Miami. I'm going Anthony Joshua. I think he's going to get him out of there in 1 round. I don't even think it's going to be a close fight. Jake Paul is delusional to think he can actually win this fight. His team needs to understand what he's getting himself into. There is no way in planet Earth that Jake Paul walks out of that ring. He's going to be in some kind of wheelchair or a stretcher because it's going to be that bad. The safety as a human being, I'm genuinely worried for. I'm genuinely worried for the safety of this human being because I don't want to see Jake Paul get hurt. And I think that's what's going to happen December 19th in Miami, Florida. I just wanted to talk about that real quick because, man, this dude Jake Paul is really delusional. But they put his crazy chain on the line. Let's go ahead and hear about that real quick, and then we'll move on into some college football playoff talk real quick, and then we'll go to some NFL as well.
Imagine maybe one of the first times you've seen him in person.
I want that chain.
Okay.
That shit's dancing. That chain is dancing. You know what I mean? I'm like, give me that.
We're going to war, baby. This 50 cal's going in your head.
Perhaps the chain on the line as well? No? No?
I'll put the chain on the line.
Don't say that.
I'll put the chain on the line, but you got to put something on the line.
I'll put my chain on the line.
All right, the chain. It's actually a pretty cool chain. I'll put a picture of it on the screen. That's on the line, whatever. At least he's not betting $2 million like he did with Gervonta Davis because he would lose that bread. But let's go ahead and get into some college football playoff stuff real quick. And I just want to talk about, kind of the format and things like that. I know they changed the seating and all that from last year, but I still don't like it. Like, I think the 12 best teams need to get in because I'm going to start with Tulane. They're like, even Tulane's coach came out and said, hey, if we're ranked in the top 25, like there's probably not a lot of good teams that are playing good football right now. And honestly, like Tulane has no business being in this playoff. No business. A team like that has no business because they're going to play a SEC team and they're going to get destroyed. And when they played Ole Miss earlier in the year and in the previous rankings, I'm recording this before the new rankings come out, but they were ranked like they lost to Ole Miss by 30. And they're ranked 6th. Ole Miss is ranked 6th in this college football rankings they just did. So you're telling me right now that Tulane deserves to be in the playoff? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Right now, 4 Power 4 conference champions get in. The highest ranked group of 5 champion, 7 at-large bids. Look, listen, I think it should be the 12 best teams to get in. If you don't have certain teams from certain conferences get in, that's just how it works. Like if Tulane's not ranked in the top 12, don't put them in the playoff. Plain and simple there. Like I don't think there's much really else to say about that. Now I get it. You're giving people a chance, but like go back to the 4-team playoff. When they first created this thing, it was about getting the 4 best teams in the playoff. And now we're sitting here today talking about, oh, the 12 best teams aren't even in the playoff. Because, I mean, this hurts teams like Vanderbilt, who are really good, but are in the SEC. So you're honestly punishing a team for being in a good conference now, essentially. Because if a team has 2 losses in a stacked conference, it's almost impossible to get in. Because unless you're like an Alabama and you have the talent and you have the committee's ear, because I feel like certain teams, you know, have some wiggle room with that, like the Georgias and the Alabamas and things like that. But like, for a group of 5 team to get in my opinion, they have to make it undeniable. They have to go undefeated in my eyes because their strength of schedule is not normally good. I mean, Tulane's strength of schedule, I don't even think is ranked top 60 in the nation. Their strength of schedule is terrible. And the one good team they played, they lost to by a lot. They got blown out. So, like, how can we sit here and justify a team like that getting in the playoff? Now, Boise State last year was a little bit of a different story, but we saw what happened when they met up with a good team. They got spanked. And that just happens. That's the difference between these Power 4 and these Group of 5 teams. The Power 4 teams play harder teams throughout the season, but, like, it's just like I don't know. But I'm also not really a fan of, like, you know, these SEC teams playing like these cupcake teams. Like, I'll kind of, like, I mean, Texas A&M was playing Samford this week, who's 1-10. Like, at this point of the season, like, why are you playing a team like that? Like, that doesn't even make any sense. I mean, you've got Georgia playing Charlotte. Like, why is that even a game? Alabama's playing Eastern Illinois. Like, why? I mean, they beat him 56-0, but that's supposed to happen. That's supposed to happen. Like, why are, like, that doesn't make any sense to me. But Dan Lanning was kind of taking some shots at these teams about that. So let's go ahead and hear from him, and then we'll kind of tie this thing up real quick.
This conference is a really good conference. It's competitive, right? We didn't play Chattanooga State today, right? Like some other places, right? We competed. So, you know, that being said, it's tough playing 9 conference games. It's tough playing in this league. And we got to take advantage of playing a good team today and attacking that.
And also just real quick, I feel like there's a lot of like difference. There's a lot of different opinions about like certain losses. And I'm going to bring up Miami and Notre Dame as an example because Miami's currently the highest ranked team in the ACC right now. And they beat Notre Dame, but Notre Dame lost to Miami, but Notre Dame somehow ranked higher. And then I heard somebody on ESPN say, I think it was Joey Galloway. He's like, well, I think it was a different stage of the season. Like, what? Like, if a team's currently ranked and you beat them, you should be ranked higher. And I think Miami has definitely worse losses for sure. I think that might be why they're behind. But, like, still, it kind of doesn't really make sense still, in my opinion, that you're putting them lower than Notre Dame. I don't know. I mean, I get it. Louisville and SMU, though, they're good teams. Like, they're not bad teams. Like, Louisville is ranked a little bit. Like, I think SMU is probably going to be ranked again. I mean, they're starting to pick it up. The ACC is a good conference. It's just not as respected as, like, the SEC or the Big Ten. I mean, I feel like the ACC is closer to the Big Ten than the Big Ten is to the SEC. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do think the gap is very wide with the SEC because, in my opinion, I think you could put at least, like, 8 teams, 7 teams in the playoff from the SEC, maybe more. I mean, I'd honestly have to look at the rankings, but like just because of the strength of schedule, because you're telling me right now that Tennessee and Tulane, if those 2 teams play, which Tennessee is not in the playoff and Tulane is in the playoff, you're telling me Tennessee doesn't beat them? Stop it. They do beat them. They beat them all the time. I mean, Tennessee. Do you think Tulane beats LSU, who's not even that good this year? I don't know. I honestly think that's a close game. I think that's a close. If Western Kentucky can give LSU a game, then Tulane can definitely give LSU a game. That's what I'm saying. Like, the teams like that, if I'm saying teams like that would play close, I don't think they deserve to be in. I think there needs to be one more tweak to the system. I get you want to, award teams for winning their conference. I'm fine by that. I'm fine by that. And most of the time in the Power Four, if you win your conference, you're in anyways because you're one of the best teams or you're the best team and you have a good record. And I get it. You're trying to replicate it to the NCAA tournament a little bit where you get an automatic bid when you win your conference. But if you're going to do that, you might as well expand the field to like 24 teams, in my opinion, if you're going to do something like that. Give some other group of 5 teams a chance to get in. But that would also be going back on my word, like, hey, the best teams aren't getting in. I think it should be the 12 best teams. If you're ranked in the top 12, I think you should get in the playoff. That's kind of my theory on this, in my opinion. I think that's where it needs to go. And I don't think there should be any more automatic bids, no conference guarantees, because like we've seen with the 14 playoff, I think that system worked. I think it was efficient. I think the best teams got in there. Now, I do hate, 2023 Florida State went undefeated. But when Jordan Travis went down, Florida State was no longer one of the best teams in the country. Whether or not we went undefeated, we weren't. And I think we should go back to that kind of thinking because that was why the playoff was created in the first place. Because when the BCS was around, it wasn't, top 4, let's pick 2 teams that won their conference. No. It was the number 1 and the number 2 team played for the national title. The 2 best teams. It's been the same logical thinking. It's just now we're changing it so we can give, other schools a chance. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about that. Let's go ahead and get into this week's play of the week, shall we? We got a pretty good one from the Bills and Texans game. They had a crazy 4th and 27 miracle. I mean, the Bills were down 4 points with 41 seconds left when they got this conversion. And Joshua Palmer, he lateraled it to Khalil Shakir, which was a pretty insane play. And then Shakir takes it for one of the craziest conversions this entire NFL season. So let's go ahead and play this play.
Go empty here. 4-man rush again with a spy. And then you got a lateral, and it's going to be inside Texas territory with Shakir. He took it from Palmer. What a play.
You just don't see this ever. But he comes all the way from over here. Here's the man who's going to catch the ball on a crosser. Look at the timing of this. All the Texans defenders are all the way back at the first down line. Instead of disrupting.
That was a pretty good game. The Texans actually got the win. They're 3-1 with Davis Mills as starting quarterback this year. And then the Bills right now, they are 7-4, second in their division, and they're the 7th seed in the AFC. The 7th seed. That's how good the AFC is this year. Oh my gosh. We'll get into that a little bit more later. And then the Texans are 6-5. They've really turned it around since C.J. Stroud got hurt. This was also the first time the Bills have converted a 4th and 20-plus play in the final minute of regulation since 2006. By the way, just a little nugget about that game. Now let's go ahead and get into the Cowboys versus Eagles. First of all, I don't know how the Cowboys won this game. I mean, we were getting destroyed in the first half. I mean, it took us getting a touchdown like literally towards the end of the second quarter to make it a somewhat good game on paper. We were down 21-7 at halftime. At one point, we were down 21-0. And it was just looking bad. I mean, we were fumbling it. CeeDee Lamb, he had a bunch of drops. Like, he needs to get that under control. Like, multiple passes were in his hands, and he should have caught it. Michael Irvin, what are we going to do about this 88? Can we give it to George Pickens? I think George Pickens is better than CeeDee Lamb right now, in my opinion. And even with CeeDee Lamb not playing this year, I don't want to hear the excuse, oh, they need each other. Yeah, they do. But when CeeDee Lamb was out and George Pickens was the number 1 guy, this offense was better. Now, I'm not saying CeeDee Lamb doesn't help this offense, but like, if you're getting paid the amount of money he's getting paid, you have to catch the ball. I said this in week 1, bro, when he had those drops in the Eagles game opening night. You have to catch these passes. You have to. We cannot sit here and go over the same stuff over and over and over again. And you're going out and gambling in Vegas before the game on Monday Night Football. Why? Before that game, we won 3 games. We lost to the Cardinals. I was at that game. We lost to the Cardinals. And you think it's okay to go out and party? Why? Now, granted, I think George Pickens was with them too, but they got benched to the first drive, but I think George Pickens missed the team. He missed some team bus thing, or I think it was something like that, or team meeting or whatever. I can't remember exactly what it was, but yeah, like you got to figure those things out. Like we can't be sitting here in this kind of mentality because I want the Cowboys to win probably more than CeeDee Lamb does at this point. Like, I get the frustration, but you got to catch them. You got to catch these balls. Get out of your head. Just play the game. And if Dak puts them right in your hands, I don't care if it's not the best throw. You have to come up with it. The best receivers in the game, they come up with the plays when it matters the most. And luckily, it didn't really impact the Cowboys that much. But at the beginning of the game, it impacted the way the Cowboys started because they started so slow. I think the Cowboys have started slow many times this year. Like, you go back to the Packers game. I mean, we started really slow in that game as well, but we're somehow able to manage the game and get back into it. But I think our defense was really good. I mean, Osa Odighizuwa was getting pressure. He was getting sacks. Quinn Williams was getting sacks. Donovan Ezeraku was getting sacks. Jadeveon Clowney, he was running across the field, tackling Jalen Hurts, preventing first downs. Like, I think our front has gotten a lot better. I think we're getting pressure. We're forcing the ball to get out quicker. I think our secondary is still garbage, but, I mean, when you're playing A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, what do you really do against those kind of receivers? But I think the Cowboys, I did not think we were going to win this game because it literally started, like, after Kevontae Turpin fumbled the ball, I was like, oh, God. I was about to turn the game off, and then I kept it on, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to keep watching. And then we just kind of hung around. Our defense kept giving us chance after chance after chance. I mean, the fumble recoveries were huge in this game, even though we weren't able to convert on some of them. But it was still a great effort by this defense. Now, I still think sometimes, like, I've questionable ways that we play defense. I mean, I can't remember exactly. I think it was in the second half. Like, we got the fumble recovery and then we didn't score. So the Eagles, they had the ball at like the 2-yard line, pinned in the end zone. And there was this guy, I swear, he was playing like 10 yards deep on A.J. Brown, maybe more. And A.J. Brown, he just runs a little out route and gets the ball. I'm like, Eberflus, do you not know who A.J. Brown is? Play a little bit tighter. You have him at the 2-yard line. Why don't you just send a blitz? Why don't you just send more pressure instead of playing cushion coverage and basically letting them get yards? It doesn't make any sense. But congrats to Dak Prescott, man. Congrats. He had a great game. 354 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. He is now the Cowboys' all-time leading passer. He passed Tony Romo in 23 fewer games. That's a very impressive feat. But let's just see it in playoffs, man. That's all I'm really waiting on. I get it. But he has had 5 300-yard games this year, tied for the most in the NFL. I think the Dak Prescott getting that record is cool. It's a great accomplishment. It's hard to do, but I think he's got a chance against the Chiefs, which we'll talk about that game in a little bit later. But Schottenheimer, he thinks it's pretty cool, and I know Dak. He said Dak won't really admit it, but let's go hear some Schottenheimer, and then we'll tie up this Cowboys game, and then we'll go on to some other topics.
I know he won't say it, but that's a pretty cool record that he broke, and to do it on a game like this where we beat a really good football team the way we did, I'm sure makes it even sweeter.
And also, this is the the Eagles had not blown out a 21-point lead since 1999 when they lost to Arizona. So that was pretty bad. They also had, like, I think before the Cowboys, they hadn't trailed. I think they hadn't trailed in like 292 minutes. It was like a record going back to the 40s, I think, something like that. And then Barkley had his first fumble of the season. Yeah, very uncharacteristic of him. But this is also the first time Dallas won a game after trailing by 21+ points since 2014 versus the Rams. First time beating the Eagles after trailing by 21 since the 1980s. Jalen Hurts, he had previously been 18-0 in his career when leading by 10+ points. I mean, there's a lot of numbers, but I mean, I just want to talk about this real quick. Historic day for the Cowboys. You know, they tied for the largest comeback in franchise history. It's a 3-way tie, actually. They win 24-21. But before the game, they honored Marshawn Kneeland, who died a couple weeks ago. And I was at that game against Arizona when he scored the touchdown on the blocked punt. And it was just so crazy, you know, a couple days later, getting the news. And I was just like, man, I just saw that guy play. Like, I just saw him play. I couldn't believe it. He's only in his second year in the league. I mean, it's very sad. You know, they had the flag out and everything. I think that's motivating the Cowboys right now. I think it is. I think that game was definitely a representation of that, and we'll see if we can keep this momentum going. But praying for his family and everyone who knew him and was close to him, things like that. I mean, he's 24 years old. I mean, I'm 23. Like, that's so sad, man. That's so sad. Yeah, that's so sad. Yeah, it really stinks. I'm praying for his family. I know his girlfriend has a kid right now, so I'm really praying for her as well. Yeah, it's just a tough situation. You can't really prepare for something like that. I couldn't imagine if that was a family member of mine. That'd be devastating, of course, but yeah. All right, let's go ahead and get into this Colts-Chiefs game. So the Colts take the Chiefs to overtime, and then the Colts, you know, they kind of blow it. They don't really do anything when they get the ball in overtime. The Chiefs go down. They win the game. Now, I think there's a couple things here that came down to this. I think, one, the Colts just kind of took their foot off the gas. I mean, they were up 20-9 in the fourth quarter, and they kind of just let the Chiefs hang around. You know, they kept the Chiefs defense kept giving them chances. But the Chiefs didn't start this game well either. Like, I mean, they had that interception, and then, you know, there was a lot of things not going their way, but they fought. They proved why they're the Chiefs and why Patrick Mahomes understood the implications of this game.
To win against a really good football team and the game's not going your way, you could have folded in that situation and kind of been kind of the rest of the season. The guys responded and then found a way to win on every single unit. I mean, offense, we found a way at the end. Defense stood tall multiple times to give us chances. And then Harrison and Ariza did a great job flipping the field and making field goals. So we needed a win like this, and now let's just try to build off of it.
And also, this is Patrick Mahomes' 18th career double-digit fourth-quarter comeback, the most in the NFL since 2018. Rashee Rice, he's back. He's got some wheels, man. When he gets out in open space, I mean, he's got speed. Like, he's hard to catch. I mean, this Chiefs team is good still. Like, I mean, they're definitely good, but they're going to have some help. They're not completely out of the playoff race. They're 6-5. But this is going to be a tough road to get to the playoffs for the Chiefs because they have never been in a situation like this in a while. I mean, they haven't been in a situation, especially in the Mahomes era. I haven't really seen them in a situation like this where winning your division is basically kind of out of the picture, essentially. I mean, the Broncos, as long as they don't completely just lose it, they're going to win this division. So, but I mean, Rashee Rice, he's now posted 100-plus yards in back-to-back games for the first time in his career. Kareem Hunt, he reached 30 carries for the first time since 2019. He had 30 rushes, 104 yards, and a touchdown. Kareem Hunt looked like he was back to his normal self. He was going back to a couple, when he was in his prime. I think he's getting back to that level. That's one thing that the Chiefs have struggled with all season long is running the football. And when you can have a day like that where you can run the football and really do the play action, because the Chiefs love those bootlegs and all that. That's important in the Chiefs offense. But the Chiefs defense, they were clutch, man. They held the number one offense in the NFL to 255 total yards, their worst of the season, and 4 straight 3-and-outs to end the game. The Colts weren't doing anything on offense in the fourth quarter. They really weren't. And then Latu had his 3rd interception of the season, becoming the first defensive end with 3 interceptions in a season since Jared Allen, 2010. I know I'm overloading stats, but these stats are just so good today. These games were all over the place. And I honestly thought the Colts, to make a statement, I think they needed to win this game at Arrowhead. But, the Chiefs have a good team. They're good defense. They're experienced. They're good at home. But the Colts, I think they play the Texans next week. If they don't win that game, that leaves the AFC South wide open, in my opinion, because the Colts could totally lose it with a couple more losses, in my personal opinion. And I wouldn't be surprised. I think the Colts are a team that had a hot start, but I think is going to have a rocky road. The Colts remind me of that team. It was Big Ben's last year on the Steelers, where they started out 11-0 and then they lost every game. I feel like the Colts might finish with 11 wins this year. I don't think they're going to be the top seed in the AFC, in my personal opinion. But, we'll see. I think the Chiefs had to win this game, obviously, to stay alive, and this is their first overtime win in Arrowhead since 2020. So, yeah. And this win jumped their playoff odds to 27%. So that really helps them a lot there. And now let's go ahead and go to Shedeur Sanders, man. He's actually starting for the Cleveland Browns. We saw some flashes. We saw the arm strength, of course. We also saw some mistakes where he got intercepted. He tried to fit it into a really tight window between 2 defenders on, I think it was a curl route, and he just couldn't get enough zip on that ball. Thought he had a bigger window than he did, and it closed really quickly, so he kind of got picked off there. We saw some bad, we saw some good in Shedeur Sanders' debut, but I also want people to, calm down. This is the Raiders, okay? I know we saw flashes, and I think we've seen more flashes from Shedeur. And just kind of comparing, I know it's a small sample size with Sanders right now, but compared to Dylan Gabriel, I didn't really see Dylan Gabriel making plays like that when he was starting. I'm just saying. But Shedeur Sanders, he looked good enough for the Browns to get the win. He was 11-20. He threw for over 200 yards. He had that 66-yard screen pass to Dylan Sampson for his first touchdown. I'm not going to really give him too much credit on that because there's a lot that goes into that. Good blocking. Obviously, Sampson has to find the right holes. Sanders is just the guy throwing the ball behind the line of scrimmage. So let's go ahead and hear from Shedeur Sanders real quick about his first start in the NFL.
I'm not going to lie, I felt very relaxed. And half of that comes from preparing, studying, and knowing I got God on my side. So throughout all that, I had no worries. I didn't feel nervous or anything before the game because, he took all my worries and everything away.
Sanders also ended a 17-game losing streak by a Cleveland Browns quarterback making their first start. And he also became the first Browns rookie quarterback to win his first NFL start since 1995. The last Browns rookie to win his debut, Eric Sealer in 1995. Browns are 3-8. You have Myles Garrett over here believing in this man in the post-game press conference. I feel like that's when you kind of know. Shedeur thinks he's the guy. I think Shedeur can be the guy. Again, with all rookie quarterbacks, I say this. It takes time. Look at Caleb Williams last year. Most sacked quarterback in the NFL last year. Look at Cam Ward this year. Most sacked quarterback in the NFL this season. You're going to struggle. You're going to struggle. It's very rare to have a season like C.J. Stroud and Jaden Daniels. It just is. So you're not going to see that often. But rookies take time to develop. And even Shedeur said it in his press conference. It just took me time to get settled. He's studying. The NFL game is way different than the college game. There's a lot more you need to know, and there's a lot more that you have to be able to see with the naked eye as a quarterback. What kind of defense are they really in? Because defense is disguised like crazy nowadays. So you got to figure out all of that. Processing information. But I feel like Shedeur can do that, and he can make the big plays. I think that's the difference with Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel. Dylan Gabriel is kind of just, managing the game. Shedeur Sanders did the same thing as well, but also, like, if he's got a guy downfield, he's going to take a shot. He's not scared to fire it, and I like that. He's not scared to take the risks, and I really do think Shedeur has the chance to be the Browns guy. And you got Deshaun Watson on the sideline, mentoring him. Now, who knows next year what that quarterback situation looks like. If the Browns keep Kevin Stefanski, which I think they really should. I don't think they should move on from him. But, that was encouraging. Even though it wasn't the most perfect start. How are you going to go have the most perfect start? But you got the win. You made Browns history. You've done something a Browns quarterback hadn't done in 3 decades. So I would take that if I'm Shedeur, even if it wasn't the most perfect game, in my personal opinion. And I think the Browns should ride with Shedeur, even if Dylan Gabriel's healthy, for the rest of the season, just to give those two guys a similar sample size to go off of, in my opinion. I think that's what they should do. I don't know if they will do that, but if Shedeur keeps winning, then there's no choice but to keep him in. That's what he has to do right now. He has to make it undeniable that, hey, I'm the guy, I'm the best player on the field for the Browns at quarterback, and I give you the best chance to win games. Now, the Raiders are bad. I mean, they just fired Chip Kelly, their offensive coordinator. They got a lot of issues in Vegas, and I'm pretty sure they're probably wishing, oh, man, I wish we took Shedeur. I saw Antonio Pierce on a podcast. He was saying, man, if I was still there, we would have taken Shedeur. He would have not fallen to the 5th round. And, I see a bunch of guys, especially Coach JB. I watch that show sometimes. He thinks Shedeur Sanders should have been a 5th-round pick, and I don't think he should have been a 5th-round pick. I mean, compared to the guys that went higher than him, Jalen Miller went 3rd round, and Jalen Miller sucks. And we all know Shedeur Sanders is a way better thrower of the football than Jalen Milroe. So stop it. Stop it. We cannot sit here and be real about this right now. Now, is Shedeur Sanders better than Jackson Dart? No. But Shedeur Sanders could be better than Cam Ward. Cam Ward has not shown me anything this season. Anything. And going into the draft last year, it was those two guys that were the most talked about quarterbacks. Jackson Dart wasn't really talked about that much. But Jackson Dart's the best quarterback in this draft, in my opinion. Just kind of looking at everything. He's shown the most. He's shown the most promise. He's given the most life to his team. It's as simple as that. But, let's go ahead and get into some JB's picks, man. JB's picks. We got some Thanksgiving Day games to talk about, and then we also got the Black Friday game between the Eagles and Chicago Bears. We'll go ahead and talk about that in a little bit. But, man, let's just go ahead and give a little history lesson real quick on why the Lions and Cowboys play every Thanksgiving. So, in 1934, the Detroit radio executive George A. Richards, he bought the Portsmouth Spartans, he moved them into Detroit and then renamed them the Lions. And then to drum up the interest in the new franchise, he scheduled a Thanksgiving Day game versus the Chicago Bears and worked with NBC Radio to broadcast it nationally on a 94-station network. It was actually really groundbreaking at the time. And then, the Lions, They lost their first game in Thanksgiving, and then ever since then they played every Thanksgiving except, obviously World War II between the years of 1939 and 44. But the Lions have the most wins and most losses of any NFL team on Thanksgiving. So I'll talk about why the Cowboys play on Thanksgiving right now, actually, and then we'll talk about both of these games and kind of what we think. Give quick predictions real quick. The Cowboys have played every year on Thanksgiving since 1966, except for 1975 and 77. And you're probably wondering, why those 2 years? Why did they not play those 2 years? Well, the NFL briefly replaced them with the St. Louis Cardinals, not the baseball team, the football team at the time. And it was they played the Dolphins, and it was a 55-10 blowout in 77. So that ended that experiment. But the tradition, began with GM, Tex. He pushed for the national publicity, and then, Dallas, they got a 34-22 and 1 all-time Thanksgiving Day record. So let's go ahead and kind of talk about this Packers and Lions game real quick. So this has got a lot of implications when it comes to the NFC North, because this NFC North is tight. You got the Bears at 8-3. You got the got the Packers right there. You got the Lions right there. And the Packers already beat the Lions this season. And week 1, that was bad. The Lions did not look good at all in that game. And it's at home. It's in Detroit this time. So I think the Lions will be better. But, the Lions have looked so weird. I think the Lions are still good, but they've looked super inconsistent. They almost nearly lost to the Giants. And you almost lose to the Giants. You're allowing a lot of yards. Jameis Winston was throwing the ball all over the field. Wan'Dale Robinson was cooking the Lions secondary. I think the Lions secondary has some issues, in my opinion. But the Lions, I'm picking them to win this game, but it's because they have to win this game. If they don't, they're really setting themselves up in a tough spot when it comes to the end of the season, trying to get into the playoffs and be higher than like a 7 seed. Or even win the division, because the division's still wide open. It's still anybody's game. But the Packers, if they win this game, they would have swept the Lions. They would have the tiebreaker over the Lions. That's big. Tiebreakers mean so much when it comes to deciding a playoff spot. But I haven't really been that impressed with the Packers' offense, man. They just have not looked that good. Jordan Love didn't even throw for 200 yards yesterday. And they've looked very weird. He's only had 2 touchdown passes in his last 4 games. The Packers are 2-2 in their last 4 games, but they're scoring under 20 points in both of their losses. That Eagles game, that was horrible. A horrible game. My goodness. But for the Lions, they lose that game against the Giants if Jahmyr Gibbs doesn't go Barry Sanders mode for 264 yards and 3 touchdowns. So, and the line is -3 for the Lions, but I'm going to go the Lions right now. I'm going to go the Lions at the current moment. But I don't think, the Lions and Packers are one of the best teams in the NFC right now. I think the Rams and the Seahawks are the 2 best teams in the NFC right now. That's kind of my take right there. If the Lions don't win this game, they're in trouble. They have to get this. They have to get it if they want some kind of chance to win the division. And if the Packers want to also win this division, this is a must-win game for both teams, in my opinion. At this point in the season, this is a must-win game because you have to keep pace in this division. You have to. You have to. Now, the Cowboys are playing the Chiefs. Now, oh boy, I don't really feel great about this game. The Cowboys are 7-5 all time versus Kansas City, but the last time the Chiefs played the Cowboys, they beat them 19-9 in 2021. And obviously, Mahomes is coming back to Texas, where he's from, all that. He's 2-3 in AT&T Stadium, including his time in the NFL and Texas Tech. I'm a little bit nervous about this game, but this is a must-win game for both teams. The Chiefs are 6-5, the Cowboys are 5-1, basically same records. The Cowboys have been good at home outside that one game versus the Arizona Cardinals. They've looked really good at home this year. They've won the majority of their games. The Chiefs, are a team that I think the Cowboys offense needs to show, hey, we can throw the football and do good things against this defense. Because the Chiefs defense is better than the Eagles defense, in my personal opinion. We'll see how this offensive line holds up with Chris Jones. I think that's going to be a huge matchup to watch, at the center and the center position and the inside, linemen. I think that's going to be something to watch out for all game. Can the Cowboys run the football effectively? I think that's going to be the thing. But how does it? We all know the Cowboys secondary is going to give up yards. Rashee Rice, Travis Kelce, Xavier Worthy, they're going to get theirs. That's the thing. But can the Cowboys stop the run? Can the Cowboys get pressure and make Mahomes throw the ball away or make him even run? I think that's what the Cowboys need to do in this game if they want to win. Now, the Chiefs are favored by 3.5 points, but I think the Cowboys can win this game. They just have to do those things that I talked about, and they can do it. Dak Prescott has to have a great game. He's got to be playing the way he did against the Eagles, because I feel like the Cowboys, they have these weird games against division teams at home where they're like, hey, we're going to play well today. And then you play a team that's not in your division, you don't do good. And it's like, all right, we need some consistency here. We need to see, because in my opinion, I think the Cowboys basically have to win out if they want any chance to make the postseason. But, basically they have to win out. They have to beat the Chiefs. They had to win yesterday to have a chance to make the playoffs. But this is going to be I think this is going to be a close game. I think these teams are pretty evenly matched, in my opinion. But, I'm gonna go my Cowboys on Thanksgiving at home. I'll take it. I'll take the Cowboys. I think they'll win. I think Brandon Aubrey will send it home for a game-winning field goal once again saving us. But yeah, that's what I'm going with there. And then Bengals at Ravens. This is the night game for Thanksgiving. Joe Burrow may return for the game. He's been out since week 2 with the toe surgery. He was a full participant in practice, ahead of this week 12 game against the Patriots. So the Bengals, first of all, I feel like the Bengals are kind of done. Mathematically, they're still technically able to win the division. Now, this AFC North is not as good as it usually is. The Ravens and Steelers are both 6-5. So the Bengals, essentially, they have to win out. They play the Bills on the road. They play the Ravens twice, including this game. Dolphins, Cardinals, Browns. But this Bengals defense cannot allow the Ravens to put up points. They've allowed 40 points per game over their last 3 games. That's awful. Awful. And Jamar Chase is back. He's returning from suspension after spitting on Jalen Ramsey. Now, I was kind of, thinking about this last night while I was kind of jotting some notes down. I'm like, well, Jalen Carter spit on Dak Prescott. He didn't get suspended. But Jamar Chase spit on Jalen Ramsey, and he got suspended. I think the difference is, Jalen Carter, the game didn't start yet. So he basically got suspended the whole game because he got ejected, didn't play the entire game. And Jamar Chase, he got suspended because it's like, hey, he played that game. Let's go ahead and punish him for that. And then T. Higgins got hurt. We'll see if he even plays. That's going to be a big factor in this game. But the Ravens, they're on a 5-game win streak. They're hot right now. Even though Lamar Jackson, he's kind of struggling lately. He's completed under 60% of his passes in his last 3 games. Not good. But they're actually turning it around on defense. They're allowing 13.4 points per game. Sorry, I misread that stat. The first 6 games on the Ravens defense, they're allowing 32.2 points per game. So the defense is why the Ravens have been doing better. That's why they've been doing better. But the Ravens, they had, 2 40-point games early in the year, but now during this winning streak, they've only had 1 30-point game. And Lamar, he had 2 interceptions against the Browns, a couple games ago, but I feel like this is a game the Bengals have to win. If they want any chance to have some life into their season, they got to win this game. But the Ravens have to win this game too. But also, they really don't, because I think the Steelers are just that bad. Aaron Rodgers is hurt right now. Even with Aaron Rodgers, I don't think the Steelers have not looked good offensively at all. They can't really put up points. So it'll be a close division. No one else besides the division winner in the AFC North is going to make the playoffs. That's what's going to happen. The AFC is too good this year. The Bills are the 7th seed. The 7th seed. The Bills. I mean, come on. But I'm going to go. This is tough. With Joe Burrow coming back, it's at Baltimore. I'm gonna go the Bengals to win this one. If Joe Burrow plays, but if Joe Burrow does not play, then I'm gonna go the Ravens. And then let's go with the final game for the holiday season, the Black Friday game, Bears at Eagles. Now, who would have thought that the Bears and Eagles going into this game would be both 8-3? I certainly didn't. The Bears, to me, their 8-3 record is kind of deceitful, in my opinion. I don't think they've really beaten that many good teams. I don't think they really have. I mean, their best win is probably the Commanders on Monday Night Football when they had Jaden Daniels and they won on that game-winning field goal. Personally, I think that's probably their best win up to this point. I'm not counting the Steelers. I'm not counting that game. No, I'm not counting the Saints. Stop it. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. I mean, they lost to the Ravens. I mean, I just don't think the Bears are that. I think the Bears are good, but I don't think they're like an elite team. I don't think they're on the same level as the Eagles. But I don't know. I mean, the Bears beat the Cowboys, and the Cowboys just beat the Eagles. So who knows? Who knows? It's at Philly, though, and Philly's coming off a loss, so I'm probably going to go with the Eagles in this game. But, I mean, Caleb Williams has looked really good. I mean, he's coming off his third game with 3+ passing touchdowns. The Bears are also averaging 24 points per game in their last stretch. So, I mean, and also Caleb Williams has not had an interception in nearly a month, by the way. But the Eagles are kind of like a weird team, too. Like, the Eagles have their moments where it's like one half, it's like, oh my God, this is the team that's back. They won the Super Bowl. And then you have a half where it's like, what happened? Like, where'd they go? And they kind of just disappear and fall flat on the face of the earth. Like, I just don't know what to think about them right now. The Eagles are super inconsistent. Super inconsistent. But, I mean, to kind of, like, you know, close this out, I think the Eagles will get it done just because I think they need to, in my opinion. I mean, they're not losing this division unless they do what they did a couple years ago and just completely blow it. Completely blow it, which I hope they do. I hope the Bears win this game. I really do. I really do. I'd like to see the Bears get a win here. And I think it'd be good because if the Bears win, I think the Bears need to win this game because they got to keep the Lions and Packers off their tail. They got to stay in this division lead. They got to keep these guys away because you still got to play them later in the year. So you got to keep them away. You got to rack up as many wins as you possibly can. And I also think for the Bears, this will be a marquee win if they can get this done. Because they just haven't had a marquee win this year, in my opinion, yet. And I think this would be it. You're beating one of the best teams in the league. And you're playing a good offense. That would show what your defense can really do against these kind of receivers. Because I think the Bears have a good defense as well. But I think this would put everything the Bears have been working towards with this Ben Johnson era to the test if they can seriously compete in this game and win this game. But I'm going to go with the Eagles still. I'm going to go with the Eagles right now. But, man, that's going to go ahead and do it for this episode of The Take. Make sure to hit the subscribe button, like this video, comment what you guys think about the NFL season, also the Jake Paul fight, college football playoff format, things like that. But I'm Jackson Burleson, of course. You guys have been listening to another episode of The Take, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.
Talk to me, baby. Talk to me nice. I'm from another world, baby, yeah. Broadway paradise. They think I'm way too cold, cause I put my